So how do you become more consistent in disc golf? The biggest concept that you could probably learn to become more consistent would be risk management. Ideally, you would build your game around as little risk as possible, taking the most simple basic shots and just doing it over and over and over again. And then your rounds would be very, very consistent. The reason that they're not consistent right now is because you're taking a lot of risk. You grab that disc and you say, well, on this hole, if I hit this disc just right, it pops up, turns over, beautiful, I can birdie it. And then you did it. And then you were screwed, because from there on you decided that you're gonna throw that disc for the rest of your life on this hole, and then you never birdie it again. And you're taking like double bogeys, right? So let's define what the risks are. So power, it's really important to know on each of your shots what your natural distance is. For example, let's take this hole 3 here at Lynchburg College. So this hole is 363 feet. It's uphill, so it plays about 400. Now, that's about max distance on my backhand. I mean, I've got to get a hold of it, and it's got to be really good. That's going to be pretty risky for me to throw that, to try to get there on that. So I've got to decide if that risk is worth it versus the short little forehand hyzer here of about 250 feet worth of power, if that, layup. So if you have to juice it, that's going to be inherently more risky than not. So the next risk would be if you need your disc to change angle in the flight. So it might be a flex line, we might call it. So why is that actually a risk? Because if you're throwing an overstable disc and you put it on too much ante, it's just gonna roll out and it's gonna burn. If you throw it with too little ante, it's gonna hyzer out too early and you'll just be way right of your target. Now, with an understable disc that you're trying to hyzer flip, if you put too little hyzer on it, it's just going to end up way left. It'll never get turned over. If there's not enough hyzer on the disc, then it'll turn over right and just cut roll out to oblivion. So the next weakness would be using oh my gosh, bro. The next weakness would be using a weakness. The next risk would be using your weakness. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but if you've got a really crappy backhand, then you should throw your forehand. And if your best shot is the tomahawk, you should use the snot out of that joker. The last risk would be trying to hit a small gap or a small landing zone. On this hole, we've got a very large landing hole before the gap. Landing hole. So let's talk about the play on this hole. So I've got an option if I want to get there for birdie, and that would be for me to throw a max power backhand flip up, and I've got to carry the entirety of the gap. So if you're following along at home, that is max power, risk number 1, flip up, changing the angles, risk number 2, backhand, which is my weakness, and then I've got to carry the entirety of the small gap the whole way. So that's 4 risks. Let's see how it turns out. No bueno. So the shot that I actually go for here is a 200-foot forehand hyzer. So that is just a moderate amount of power. It is on hyzer the whole way, so it's not changing angles. It's my strength because it's my forehand, and it's a very large landing zone, so I'm not going to miss it very often. So it's very, very safe. So generally I'll take a 3 on this hole, sometimes a 4, but I'm not going to take any bogeys or double bogeys going this way. Full show. Literally perfect. Hey guys, so we are editing this video right now, and I forgot to mention in the video that what you want to do with these risks is see if you can take your shot selection at your local course, the one you play all the time, see if you can get 1, maybe 2 risks per hole, and if it's more than that, I would highly consider changing your shot choice and tell me how your round goes. Also, if you appreciate this, like, subscribe, comment, whatever you can do, and if you hated it, please give us a dislike. Thank you.